Welcome to the Recruitment Edge HR Conversation series. Today we welcome back Anthony Sork of Sork HC for part 2 of this HR conversation. In our previous session, Anthony introduced us to the 5 stages of the employee life cycle with a particular focus on employee attachment, the critical bonding phase of a new employee. Thanks, Anthony. Let's pick up from where we left off.
Right.
We talked about attachment. What happens next?
Yeah, okay. So following on from attachment in the employee life cycle is the stage of connection. So connection really is something that we focus on post that first 120 days, and it really looks at the way in which someone experiences what we call push and pull forces that are impacting the way that they are feeling in their role. And they're quite fluid on a daily basis, but over time there's a bit of a pattern that starts to emerge for people. So the push and pull forces combined with their ongoing sense of alignment to the organisation's purpose and their purpose in their role, together with the individual circumstances that they have that are impacting their lives at that point in time, all impact the connection of an individual at any given point in time.
Okay, so just explain to me a little bit this push and pull. What does it mean?
Yeah, so push and pull forces, if you think of it a little bit like magnetic forces, the pull forces are those things that are pulling people into the organisation and keeping them connected, and then there are push forces that are actually pushing them away. And the way that we understand those is to look at a combination of satisfaction as well as importance. So there's a range of different variables that sit around people in their roles. In fact, we measure 12 of those in terms of distinct drivers and 64 elements of those. But those various push and pull forces combine to create a sense of how connected a person feels in their role at that point in time.
Okay, so I know you're only giving us a very summarised approach. There's a lot of science, psychology and research that goes behind this.
There is, yes.
And people can talk to you about that. But just when someone's push is greater than their pull,
yeah,
what happens then?
Yeah, so push and pull forces, it would be nice and neat if it was that the push forces outweighed the pull forces that led to them tipping over into the next stage, which is the detachment phase. But for some people, it might be one element of their role, or it might be one interaction or one relationship that then leads to them feeling that this is no longer my employer of choice environment. I've now entered a phase where I now want to seek something else. And so when they enter that phase, then that's when they've actually crossed over into the detachment phase, which can last for quite varying lengths of time for people. For some, it might be short and punchy, and they may go, you know what, I know that I'm detached and I want to leave quickly. And for others, they may be in that phase and be in a holding pattern, waiting to look for what next to go to. But certainly their discretionary effort and contribution will go down during that time.
So companies go to a lot of effort to find, attract,
Yes.
get people into their businesses,
Yeah.
and then they miss something.
Yeah.
And I know we put it very simplistically into push and pull, but we're losing people.
Yeah.
We're detaching, and sometimes they can be sitting in that seat or working from home. We don't even realise they've detached.
That's right. And so look, the crux of, I guess, emotional bonds for existing workforce is that we need to be more attentive to the individual circumstances, thinking and feeling of each of our employees. And managers, I think we've learned a lot over the last couple of years about how individual circumstances can be quite different even amongst the same team. And so leaders, contemporary leaders, really do need to make an effort to be attentive to, want to understand those push and pull forces for their employees on an ongoing basis. And then when they recognise that something has changed to the extent that they have entered into that detachment phase, is to support those individuals as best they can to transition into the next stage of their career when it happens. And it will happen. So you won't keep your workforce forever, but being more attentive to the emotional bonds, both at attachment, connection and detachment phases is going to help organisations feel much more aware and in control of those things that otherwise could be surprises to them.
Thank you, Anthony. We hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and look forward to sharing more insights in our series, Recruitment Edge HR Conversations.